All right, let's do this. Particularly excited to get to this week's video. I mean, I'm always excited to get to this week's video, but this one's particularly interesting to me. So, pull up a chair and sit a spell. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for watching. You can contact me at jmacpodcaster@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram under JeremyMac76, and I'm on Facebook under Jeremy McDonald Music. All right. You know what? I think I'm going to do this. There we go. I got old blue eyes back here. Look at these blue eyes. Yeah. Sexy, huh? Okay, enough patting myself on the back. All right, here's the deal. I've been trying to find a way to broach this subject because... Sorry, my feet are kind of wiggly right now. I just took my pill first time in the morning, so hopefully... there you go. So my feet are jacked up. So hopefully I have less dyskinesia now than later. The majority, I would say the large majority of messages that I get are from seniors, people over the age of 60 or late 50s. I know that's not technically a senior, but for the sake of this conversation, let's include them. And I know this channel's mostly about young onset, YOPD, young onset Parkinson's disease. My 4 least favorite letters in the world. All right, but just think about it this way. Sure, there's a lot of stuff that we deal with. We're going to have the disease a lot longer, at least if something else don't kill us first. Sorry, my dark side's coming out. And so there is, in parenting and a career, that's very stressful for young onset. There's a lot of things that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy with young onset. But I think sometimes, at least, maybe I can do this. And I'm sure if I do, other people do. Phone. Give me a second. Damn telemarketers. All right, where was I? Okay. So I was talking to my wife this week, and I said, think about it this way. I mean, maybe you were a teacher your whole life. Maybe you were an engineer, a policeman, a designer of some kind, a boss, like you owned a company. Maybe you owned a restaurant. And suddenly, all that's taken away from you. When you're in your 60s, maybe you're a veteran, maybe you were a NOM. I know I've been contacted by several veterans. Now, this is something that I didn't really think about, and I should have, is that suddenly you've worked your whole life, you've become the top of your field at whatever you've done. Like I said, school teacher, policeman, businessman, engineer, maybe musician. And you've been looking forward to that golden retirement, and suddenly, maybe it causes your early retirement, or maybe it's a couple years after you retire. Suddenly you've been handed this basket full of doo-doo. Spanish word is caca. Of Parkinson's. How completely demoralizing. I know for me, I was not really good at anything. I had my motorcycle, I had my skateboards, I had my music, and I was a dock working nobody. I was fairly good at all those things, but I wasn't really an expert, I was middling at best with everything I ever did. So to be at the top of your field for a long time and suddenly have that pulled out from underneath you it would wreck you. For me, and I've talked before, when I was diagnosed, there was a sense of relief because I'd been feeling like crap for years. That's why people will tell me something like, how do you get up every morning? I'm like, listen, dude, I've been dealing with this nonsense for a lot longer than before I was diagnosed. So when I was handed something and I was told there are treatments, I was like, bingo. I went back to work for 2 years, probably the hardest 2 years I've ever worked, especially that last 6 to 9 months. But I, for a while anyway, was still able to act normal, at least as normal as this guy is ever going to act. And then eventually I had to deal with the side effects of the medication, the wiggles, the bad off periods like I showed a few weeks ago. But I had a family. Sure, that's definitely a strain. I wouldn't want anybody to have to be a parent with Parkinson's, especially young onset, like I had. Young onset. Still, I've got a young wife. She would say I'm not even going to go there. I've got a young wife. I think she's 3 years younger than me. Either way, we're teammates. We take the steering wheel when when the other one needs a break. Now I need more breaks than she does, and it's hard. It's definitely hard. But to suddenly lose everything, or feel like you've lost everything after the age of 60, or so maybe at 70, and suddenly all the things that you used to be able to do so well you can't do. You've had 50 or 60 years of being really good at whatever it is you do, or just, maybe you weren't great, but it was easy. I mean, it was, compared to Parkinson's, it was easy. Suddenly walking across the room is like, it's not just old age, you're fighting old age and Parkinson's. Like I said, I think I just need I've had to reframe my thought about this, because there's so many messages and comments I get about Parkinson's from the older guys in the community. And I've actually had more than one person ask me, do you mind that I interact with your channel, because I'm an older one. I'm like 60 or 70. I'm like, by all means. I like to think of this channel as a big tent. I guess that's a tent. I don't talk religion. I don't talk politics on this channel. This is just, that's your thing. That's for you to find your own comfort as far as that goes. But I'm just here to tell you about my experiences with Parkinson's, and I want everybody to be included in that conversation. The older ones, the younger ones, the angry ones, the bitter ones, the skinny ones, the heavy ones, the pretty ones, the not so pretty ones. Said this guy. So, just so you know, you are welcome. Everybody's welcome on this channel. I love getting messages from anybody. jmacpodcaster@gmail.com. I've got messages from musicians who are good guitar players or good piano players, and then have lost their skill along the way. I feel you. But once again, I was never really great at anything. The only thing I was ever really great at is blah, 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 talking. I've been told I've got a gift for that. The gift of gab, I've heard it called. So that's really all I got this week. Thanks for all the interaction. Your interaction and your comments and your messages mean the world to me. You don't know how this channel has really changed my life. I started it on kind of a whim to try to educate some of my friends who maybe were afraid to ask, and it's just turned into this whole other thing where I'm interacting with the community, young onset, older onset, men, women, just Americans, Canadians, Germans, English, Australian, French, all over the world. That's what I need sometimes to get me through. Like, people, I don't think people really realize maybe how severe this disease has affected me. I used to skateboard on ramps. I used to be on stage playing my guitar, singing. Now there's sometimes I can't even walk across the room. I don't show all that. Sorry, I need a drink of water. I don't show all that because I don't want to overwhelm people. And I don't want it to be so much about the struggle. I want it to be more about the attitude and the outlook. Which, if you've known me when I was younger, I was very dark-minded, very pessimistic. Screw it all. World's gonna blow up. Still is, probably, by the way. But as I've got PD, and I've said this before, I've found this positivity inside me somewhere, and I think a lot of it comes from my wife and my son, who's going to turn 12 in a month and a half. It's amazing. The positivity I had, because I need it. I can't get up and mope. The other morning I was pretty crabby and I felt bad about it, and I actually came down and apologized to my wife and son and said, let's start over. But this channel has given me a new outlook, a new venture, a new outlet. There's the word I was looking for. New outlet. So I tell you, I read every message I get. Every message I get. I try to respond to every single one. That's all this guy's got. Until the next episode, peace and love from the currently 70 degrees and sunny city of St. Louis.